everybody, my name's Heather. That's my dog Marley. And I wanted to share my story with you. And I guess the biggest reason I wanted to share my story with you is because it's not one of overnight success. In fact, I have been a slow builder. I have not been a rock star coach that's blown it up in 3 months or 6 months. So I wanted to share it with you just in case you are feeling any of those frustrations yourself. I became a customer in 2012, March of 2012, and I didn't even want to hear the word discount coach. I didn't want to hear the word coach at all, because at the time I was at the top of my BMI. I was a smoker. I was having horrible digestive issues that was brought on by a stressful management job that I had worked for 6 years. And I just was exhausted all the time. I felt horrible about myself. So I knew I needed to do something, but I had no idea what. At the time, I was on a journey of personal discovery. I was trying to figure out what I really wanted to do, what I was passionate about, and I had worked all kinds of jobs after my management job. So I found myself at Jenny Craig, and what I loved about that job was supporting others on their weight loss journey. What I couldn't get behind was the frozen food and the artificial ingredients. I love to cook and those kind of things, so that part didn't make sense to me. And around that time, my girlfriend Marissa was reaching out to me, and I knew Marissa a long time. We played ball together, softball, when we were little kids, went to high school with her. I wouldn't consider us great friends, but I followed her on Facebook because she was living this life of a traveling nurse and living in all these cool places. So I kind of kept an eye on her. What I did know when she reached out to me and invited me to a challenge group was that she was in perfect condition, and I had convinced myself that whatever she was doing, there was absolutely no way I could do. So I ignored her for months. And for whatever reason, right time, right place, we had a conversation and she convinced me I could start at the beginning. And that's what I did, although I fully intended for this not to work and to fail. And I started with Power 90, and that first week was horrible. I was so sore. I could, barely squat to go to the bathroom, and I was miserable. But in the same sense, I was plugging in to my group, and I was receiving support and motivation and inspiration, and as well as feeling the effects of Shakeology almost immediately. So I just kept going for the first time in my life. I didn't give up. At the end of the first month, I received, I experienced a little bit results, not anything crazy, but I was ready to up my game. And so a friend of mine let me borrow her TurboFire, and I popped in the DVD with my boyfriend at the time, and I took one look at what Charlene was doing, and I took one look at him, and I remember saying, this broad is crazy. There's no way I can do this. And again, I had a list of reasons why I couldn't do this. And for a while, I couldn't finish a workout, and I kept going. And the one thing that I knew, though, was I was enjoying it. I was enjoying working out for the first time in my life. It was fun music. Charlene was spunky. And I could get in this super intense workout in a short amount of time. So I was loving it. And I really started to see some changes. It was probably around that time I decided to do the Ultimate Reset. And that really changed my relationship with food permanently. And I shattered a weight loss plateau I had been at for years by 13 pounds. And I know that was just straight up garbage that I was ridding my body of. And I've been maintaining that weight ever since. It was around that time I obviously knew that this was changing my life, and I was healthy for the first time in my life. I wasn't dieting. I had changed my health habits. I felt in control. I wasn't binging. I wasn't victim to all those things that I was in the past. I had quit smoking. All these horrible things I was doing to myself, I had quit. And so I knew there was more to this. And it was around that time I decided to become a coach with Marissa. And she really didn't have an upline, so she was kind of struggling to figure this out and kind of stumbling around in some different groups and piecing it together on her own. And, I experienced a lot of ridicule because I was the party girl. I was the smoker. I never passed up the bar or a good time. And so to do a complete 180 and say, hey guys, I'm going to be a health and fitness coach now. I got heckled badly. And not just by friends, but by family members that were really hurtful. And now I know that it was their own personal insecurities, but at the time it was very hurtful, and I would come home crying. And, my boyfriend would have to talk me down and center me and remind me that this was about me and about my journey. But at the time, that really was how insecure that I was. And I can tell you right off the bat, the part that I connected with Beachbody on the most was the personal development side, because I hadn't been doing that up until recently. And I really hadn't read a book since college. I mean, college ruined reading for me straight up. And so I was really not a reader. And I had a lot of work to do on myself. I was doing way too much for way too many for way too long, and I avoided really jumping into myself and working on some things that I needed to work on. So getting involved with Beachbody on a coaching level, it kind of forced me to do that, and I fell in love with it because I was seeing advancements in my life, and I was feeling freedom from these things like control and emotional eating and stress. I mean, I let stress run my life for so many years. So I was literally soaking everything up like a sponge. And I want you guys to know that a lot of these same people that heckled me have gone on to be really successful in my challenge groups. So if you stay consistent and you stay grounded in your convictions about what you're doing, no one's going to be able to stop you. And they'll either choose to join you or they'll choose to just kind of move on. But you stay grounded to your convictions and stay passionate about what you're doing. And that's what this is all about. Staying consistent with the 3 vital behaviors. I mean, it really is that simple. You do those 3 vital behaviors every single day, even when you feel like nobody's listening. For months, I felt like, hey, is this thing on? Does anyone hear me? Does anyone see my posts? And you have to love what you're doing to be able to go through that every day and to be able to keep doing it. So I wanted to kind of just talk to you too about not having an upline. I mean, I hear a lot of people say that, I don't have an upline, I don't have a whatever. I mean, you still have every opportunity that everyone has. Top coach Lindsay Matway, you will hear her talk about it. She did not have an upline. We did not have an upline, and we kept going up until we found Kevin and Milan Jensen. She's the very first Beachbody coach, wasn't even a coach at that time, and he worked at corporate. So we all have the same tools. Keep going up until you find your upline or your coach, and if not, then jump into the back office. You have all the same tools, and you have all the opportunities to be successful. So I was really 1 foot in and 1 foot out in this business, and then in January I was in a really bad car accident, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't run errands, I couldn't clean my house, I couldn't go to work, and this literally was the only thing that I had positive to put myself into and to be consistent with. And I needed it because I was having a lot of anxiety, and I went all in this business, and I experienced some success pretty quickly. I went diamond in 3 or 4 months, and I was kind of thinking, I got this. This is cool. I have it. But I didn't have any builders. I wasn't being a leader. I had a lot to learn. And because of that, I didn't stay diamond. I still had a lot of personal development to do. And at the time, I started comparing my journey to all those around me. I started getting really frustrated. I started really pushing myself to reach these goals, whether it was a rank advancement or a dollar amount or elite, things like that are very, very important. But for me, I was pushing in a negative way to reach these goals. I was pushing that frustration onto my challengers. I started getting a lot less people responding, a lot less people engaging in my groups, and I was ready to quit. And I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but I started feeling that same anxiety I felt from corporate America, and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't think that I'm going to do this. But I kept going in my personal development, and I stayed connected because of my health goals to myself and the commitment I had made to myself. And I moved out to Seattle, the Seattle area of summer of 2013, and I got connected to the Pacific Northwest coaches before I moved out here and started meeting a lot of people. And I got to tell you, they welcomed me with open arms. And I feel like I could move to any state in this country and I could plug into my Beachbody community and meet my family members. And that's invaluable to me. So that's another reason I stayed connected. But when I moved here, I was ready to quit. And I remember before my very first Super Saturday, Richard Neal was coming out here. And if you haven't listened to any of him, anything from him or ever heard him speak, you really should. And it was just a little room. There was probably about 20 of us. And he walks in and he hugs everybody and he fills the room with this energy. And I remember walking away from that talk and him just saying, let go of the rank advancement, let go of these expectations, and make this about helping people. And that's it. And really focus on that. Focus on helping them. Focus on figuring out what it is they need the most support with. And I left there and I just said that I made a promise to myself that I was going to do that. So it didn't matter if my challenger had 5 things that they didn't do that well that week, but they had one thing that they really implemented and they were really successful with. I focused on that one thing and that one thing only. And I focused on breeding positivity and love and energy into my groups. And ever since I've been doing that, it's just been amazing. My business has turned into what I've always wanted it to be and what I always knew that it could be. I'm making amazing connections with people. And I mean, I have people reaching out to me on a regular basis telling me that I've changed their lives. And that is so amazing. This opportunity really does combine all of my favorite things in life, which are, staying healthy and happy, helping others. I've always been big into volunteering and traveling. I mean, my biggest why for being a coach is freedom. I can work anywhere with a laptop. Beachbody Awards, these awesome trips. I went on an all expenses paid cruise, took my fiance. I mean, it really combines the best of all worlds for me. So I'm so glad that I decided to stick with it, and I'm so glad that I had the support of not only my Beachbody family, but my Team Aloha family, and I know that they will never let me fail or quit or give up. And so I just hope that this inspires either someone to get started or to work through their frustrations, because it is about dreaming big. And I promise you, if you stay committed to those 3 vital behaviors, and especially your personal development, I would not be where I am today without my personal development, then you can reach all those dreams and then some. So thanks for listening, everybody, and dream big.